Right, the opening leg of Michael Johnson's Grand Slam track series culminated on Sunday at the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. And of course, Kingston, Jamaica's Daniel Williams became the first Caribbean Slam champion. Williams, the reigning world 100-meter hurdles champion, took the short hurdles challenge following a second-place finish in the sprint hurdles on Saturday, before securing top spot in the 100 meters on Sunday to finish with 20 points and US $100,000 top prize. While not winning the long sprint challenge, Bahrain's Paris Olympic silver medalist Salwa Nasser produced the performance of the weekend, scorching to a world-leading 48.67 seconds over 400 meters to finish with 17 points after a fourth-place finish in the 200 on Friday. But it was the American Gabby Thomas who took the long sprint slam, finishing with 20 points, which included a win over the 200 meters on Friday and a personal best 49.16 to claim second behind Nasser in the 400. Well, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, she dominated the long hurdles category, setting a world lead of 52.76 seconds in the 400-meter hurdles and 50.32 seconds in the 400 flat to sweep the challenge. Other challenge winners were Brazilian Alisson dos Santos in the men's long hurdles and American Kenny Bednarek winning the short sprint category for men. Great Britain's Matthew Hodson-Smith took the men's long sprint category, and Frenchman Sasha Zoya the men's short hurdles. Emmanuel Wanyoni and Grant Fisher ruled the short and long distances, while on the women's side, Iago Tajé topped the long distance list, while Doribe Well-Tije took the short distance slam with Melissa Jefferson-Wooden of the USA, now the Olympic 100-meter bronze medalist, conquering the short sprints. Well, joining us now to review the Grand Slam track is our SportsMax.tv editor and track and field analyst, Leighton Levy. Leighton, welcome to the show. Grand Slam track first leg in Kingston, hit or miss?
Hit in terms of the performances and miss in terms of the crowd engagement, in terms of the numbers that people had turned up. The engagement was fine, but the numbers weren't what they were expecting, which is, I think we'll get into that. But the crowd was not what they expected. Michael Johnson alluded to that yesterday when we spoke after the meet concluded. He said the crowd was disappointing, but they were engaged. And that is where it was let down, because I think they made a number of, I don't want to call them flubs, but I don't think they understand or understood the culture of Jamaica or the nuances that affect this country in terms of disposable income and those other things that I believe impacted the attendance. For example, Sunday at 12 o'clock, most Jamaicans are thinking about Sunday dinner, are thinking about leaving their homes. And on a Friday, 5:30 in the evening is when most people are leaving work and battling what usually is gridlock traffic on a Friday night, on a Friday afternoon in the city. Those are some of the things that I think impacted the attendance overall. But in terms of the performances, I don't think anybody can complain. 52-76 from Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, and of course, that amazing 48.6 and the incredible performance by Gabby Thomas to run through for second in 49.14. We saw a really keen battle in the men's 100 with Kenny Bednarek and, of course, Oblique Seville and company, a really close race. And, of course, all of the events, I thought, the 400-meter hurdles with Alisson De Silva and, of course, Rashawn Clark, who walked away from this pitch. Alisson Dos Santos, sorry. And Rashawn walking away from the track with $50,000 in his pocket. I think all of the performances were worth, the attendance fees, even though they're a bit high, but we talk about that as well. But I thought it was a good meet. It's just that I don't think the crowds that we're expecting were the ones that turned up.
Yeah, and Leighton, the overall execution of the event now, because one of the things I found that really stood out for me was the professionalism. Like when I walked into the National Stadium, I think the atmosphere was nice, the environment. I just wish it had a bit of Caribbean flavor to it, which I felt lacked personally because, you know, one of the things Caribbean people like is music and entertainment and all of that. And I felt like if there was that bit of flavor, it probably would have drawn a bit more people.
I know that. What it is, Maria, they're appealing to 189 countries. So there was a blend of culture. There was a lot of pop type music. There was some dancehall. There was some reggae. I don't think Jamaicans in general, I don't think are particularly enthused by the idea of entertainers performing in between events. I've never seen it people gravitate to that kind of thing. I remember back in 2008 at I think it was either the Jamaica Invitational or the Jamaica National Championship, there was a performance by Etana, who was hot at the time. And people were engaged, yes, but that was because of the fervor of the moment. This was a brand new meet with a brand new audience, and of course, I think they tried to blend everything. And I don't think that was an impact. I think the timing of the meet in terms of when it started, for one, and I don't think there was enough beating of the bushes on the ground in Jamaica. I think social media was fantastic in terms of how they engaged their fans on social media, Instagram, TikTok, all the different platforms. But in terms of on the ground, I don't think there was a lot of people who were engaged, because I remember talking to some people in New Kingston about 3 weeks before the meet started. And some of them weren't even aware of that the meet was on. And when I told them, who were the people they were asking me if Sherika Jackson was going to be there, I told them no. They asked me if Noah Lyles was going to be there, I told them no. And that seemed to dull the excitement for them. I think one of the things that I discussed with a couple of people who are in the business of sports business, was that they probably should have tried harder to get Noah Lyles and promote a matchup between him and, of course, Akichi and Thompson if they're able to get him, or a Shakari and a Julian Alfred rematch, or a Shelley and Fraser Price. I think that would have brought out some more people. But to expect 35,000 people in that stadium was unrealistic in my mind, because I don't think beyond Champs and beyond when Usain Bolt was at the peak of his career, we've never seen that inside the National Stadium for a track meet.
Yeah, Leighton, I certainly agree with you in terms of the reasons that we did not see significantly better crowds over the 3 days. Of course, the best day in terms of crowd support was on Saturday. So a combination of the lack of the global superstars that I think Jamaicans are eager to see, because there were global superstars there, but I'm not convinced that wholesale, those are the ones that Jamaican fans really wanted to see. Take nothing away from the outstanding performers who were here, but add to that, as you pointed out, the start times across the 3 days. And one of the things I want to point out, Leighton, a lot of people look at Champs and they go, oh yes, it's a wonderful product and you have a full stadium and whatever, but Champs is really only full for maybe 4 hours out of 5 days, and that's the last 4 hours on Saturday. A large part of why it isn't as well is because you have a situation where most of the fans are going to the bleachers. And it's hot. It's hot. It is ridiculously hot in Jamaica. And most fans don't want to go into that situation where they are burning up in the sun for hours upon hours. And that's the reason, even for Champs, that you don't see the venue at capacity or close to capacity until you get to 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And I suspect, in fairness to Grand Slam track, though, I suspect that part of the reason the start times were the way that they were was because of the American TV audience, maybe not wanting to clash with events like the NBA, maybe wanting the Europeans to still be up at a particular time so they can see the event live. So I suspect all of that would have gone into it. But I hope, Leighton, and you can respond to this, that the organizers understand that once you keep the meet at those times of the day, it is unlikely you're going to get a great crowd.
Yeah, I actually spoke to a young lady, Kathy. She was part of the Grand Slam team. And I was talking to her on Friday and on Saturday about that same thing. I said 5:30 p.m. on Friday, most Jamaicans are just leaving work, and then there's this incredible gridlock in the city on a Friday. I just agree. From a track and field athlete, said she parked down by Hero Circle and to take the shuttle to the stadium. By the time the shuttle got to the stadium, there were only 2 events left on Friday. On a Saturday, it's the same thing. The factor of the sun immediately across from the grandstand where it burns into your skin. Look, when I ran at Champs, that was where Knox was situated for part of the time. And I didn't like it because the sun was melting into your skin. As much melanin as we had wasn't enough to protect you from what seemed like the sun coming through a magnifying glass. So nobody wants to sit there. And then at a 5:30 on a Saturday, then people are just winding up their daily chores from supermarkets, etc. The ideal time I suggested to her would have been 7:30, which is where we saw the Jamaica International and Racers Grand Prix start. And then there's the thing on Sunday where you start to meet at midday. That does not work for Jamaican audiences at all. And of course, 2 o'clock on a Sunday, most people are sitting down to Sunday dinner and not inclined to leave their homes unless there's a Lionel Messi at the stadium. So, the reality is that the timing wasn't very suitable to the Jamaican audiences. The $60 entrance for the grandstand and between $10 and $20 for bleachers. And of course, there was another fee, $80 for tickets for certain parts of the grandstand, was prohibited for the average track and field fan who would have been coming out of 1 week after Boys and Girls Championships, where they would have spent much of their disposable income at Champs, because that's the biggest event of the year for them. For them to dig into their pockets to come out again a week later was a little bit too much to ask. As I was explaining to Kathy as well, disposable income is not what it is in the United States for Jamaicans. When you're earning less than $1,000 a month for salary, that money has to go for lunch fare, bus fare and lunch, and of course, just general living on a daily basis. You don't have that kind of disposable income to pay potentially $30,000 for a 3-day meet a week after you did that for Champs. So there are a lot of factors that contributed to that as well. And Michael Johnson alluded to the fact that the fans didn't turn out, which he said was disappointing, but he liked the idea that they were engaged. Those fans that were here were engaged. And of course, the camera angles exacerbated that situation as well, because the running camera, I don't know what you call it, Ricardo, you're the expert on that. The camera on the rail was pointed directly to the empty seats on the rail cam, on the bleacher side of things, while the other one on the other side of the track was showing the grandstand side. But for the most part, when athletes are running along the backstretch, all you saw were the empty seats. So it gave the perception that nobody was in the stadium, when actually there are quite a few thousand, not as much as people wanted, but certainly there are a few thousand people there with a lot of energy as well.
Yeah, the television production was absolutely fantastic. Just one quick point I want to make on the timing as well, because I think the timing of the meet impacted significantly the quality of the performances as well. And I know Grand Slam track is built on competition, and I love the competitiveness of most of the races, but I also think we were robbed some amazing times. You look at the best performances throughout the course of this meet, they came sometime after 6:30, and part of the reason for that is around the time that the wind dies down at the National Stadium and starts moving into a positive direction as well for the sprinters. So when you go earlier than that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes even 6 o'clock, they tend to be running into heavy headwinds, and I think that impacted the quality of the performances. Leighton, I have a couple of really quick ones I want to get through. You did speak with Michael Johnson. He was non-committal about the meet returning to Jamaica. What are you picking up on the ground as to whether this is the last time we're going to see Grand Slam track in Jamaica, or whether it will return next year?
Well, it was difficult to say, because there are people who I was speaking to who weren't giving much away. What Michael Johnson did say, he was asked directly whether or not the Grand Slam leg has a future in Jamaica. And he says everything is under review. That was all he was willing to say, which suggests to me that for right now, they are not particularly convinced that Jamaica is the ideal venue for a Grand Slam meet. They want to see full stadiums. They want to see energy, which we did have, but it sells a better. You sell a better product when you have fans from all sides of the stadium cheering and enjoying the proceedings. And I think they were let down by the fan support because, as you know, Ricardo, the seats were free.
I just want to make the point, like you've already made, that I don't think the reason or the reasons, I think the reasons can be fixed from Grand Slam's standpoint, because I think if they understand the culture, if they understand the reality of Jamaica and make certain adjustments, then you will see significantly better crowds. So I think that's more on Grand Slam than it is on the fans.
Yeah, but the other point I was going to make is that because they've invested so heavily in Jamaica, $450,000 to help to resurface that track, do you want to walk away from that investment? I mean, that's regardless of the $30 million budget that they do have for the 4 meets. Do you want to walk away from $450,000 minimum? Because you remember, there are other expenditures as well. There was hotels. There was the media tribune that was thankfully upgraded for the local and international journalists. There was a lot of investment in Jamaica. Do they want to walk away from that without giving it an opportunity to thrive? Because as Michael Johnson said, they were paying tribute to the legacy of Jamaica and what Jamaica has done for the sport. So there are two sides to it. And I think for right now, the numbers would suggest that they would want to come back, but there's some significant things, or it's not really significant, but there's some things that need to change for them to have the kind of energy and the kind of aesthetic for Jamaica to host a successful meet in the future. Successful in the sense of fan engagement and, of course, what it protects on TV in terms of performances. And, of course, to your point about the weather conditions, Susan McLaughlin spoke to it. She said she was moving backwards when she was coming on the home stretch because the wind was -5 meters per second, which is like a hurricane to runners coming down the home stretch at that time of the day.
Yeah, very much the case. We're absolutely out of time, Leighton, but I just want to make one final point because Mariah brought it up. I don't think it's a reason necessarily why we did not have more fans, but it was certainly something that caught my attention and I was a little bit disappointed with. I felt when I went to that meet as if I ordered jerk chicken from a 5-star restaurant as opposed to getting the real authentic Jamaican jerk chicken. And part of why I say that, as Mariah alluded to earlier on, is that I felt inside the stadium everything was a little bit too rehearsed and scripted, and I'm not sure they allowed the Jamaican fans to be what we are. We're not just the sprint capital of the world, but we are cultural icons in many ways, and we have our way of doing things, our way of celebrating, our way of reacting. We don't need individuals to walk around and tell us, hey, stand up and dance, hey, do a wave, hey, smile. That's unnecessary in the Jamaican context. What you need to do is to provide the right atmosphere, and that means the right music, which was, I think, a disappointment over the 3 days. And I know you said that they're trying to broadcast to 189 countries, but the music wasn't on television. The music is for those inside the National Stadium. We're authentic people, we're organic, and we don't need that sort of manufactured atmosphere, because naturally we are party people. Naturally we know how to have fun. So take your cameras and film the excitement that we bring by providing the atmosphere. And one thing, just provide the right music. And I suspect a lot of fans were not happy with the type of music that was played over the 3 days. But Leighton, we're absolutely out of time. Can't even give you a second to respond. Hope you had fun at Grand Slam track, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this again sometime. Take care, Leighton.
Take it easy, guys.
Yeah. Mariah, did you enjoy the music?
But we were sitting together. We spoke about this. Remember?
So you didn't enjoy it? No, I don't remember. I'm getting old in Mariah.
I know,
don't
it's
even remember
showing.
what I had for breakfast this morning.
It's showing.
It's okay.
Break time.
It's a blessing to get old.